Welcome to the Holistic Grief Coach podcast, the podcast about shining your light and rediscovering purpose after loss. I'm Kayleigh O'Connor, grief coach, integrative trauma coach, and founder of Good Grief and the Holistic Grief Coach certification. Here we're opening up conversations about grief and the journey of reclaiming your identity when life has changed forever. You'll hear inspiring stories from certified holistic grief coaches and other guests, as well as solo episodes from me where I'll share tools, teachings and truths from my own path along grief. So if you're here to rebuild and rediscover who you are after loss, or if you're looking to become a grief coach or find some purpose in your next chapter of life, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hi Rachel, welcome to the Holistic Grief Coach podcast. How are you doing?
Kayleigh. I'm good, Kayleigh, thanks. All good.
I'm excited to talk to you. You just got back from Ibiza, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, it was good. Good time. And it just sort of finished just as we finished. So yeah, a nice little break and nice little reset.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long 6 months, hasn't it? So yeah, it's very well deserved for sure.
And it was special as well because sort of, when we do a lot of grounds and exercises and you go to your safe place, that was actually in Ibiza. So to actually be there straight after it was pretty special.
I love that. I felt like a complete integration.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So obviously I want to ask you lots of questions, but I feel like the best place to begin, and for those who are listening, Rachel's just finished the Holistic Grief Coach certification. What brought you here? What's your journey been? Tell us a little bit about what brought you to the work.
So I've had quite a few losses in my life. So I lost both my parents quite young. And then I lost my first husband to suicide when I was pregnant. And that was 6 years ago. And I was still sort of in work, just, in the corporate world. And it just wasn't speaking to me anymore. It just felt like I was selling my soul. And I felt like I had all these experiences and just an overwhelming urge to help people with them, really. To be the sort of person that I would have been looking for. And I remember seeing one of your Instagram posts, because I'd followed you for a little while, and being like, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I felt like the stars aligned a little bit and felt like it was meant to be.
So it sounds like you've experienced a lot of compounded grief, found this journey as a part of your lived experience. Do you think that that's important when it comes to stepping into grief work? I'm just curious to know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had some counselling. I had some after my mum, which was actually quite good. But I had some after Aunt, and it was just like, she was a lovely woman, but it was just like, you just haven't got a clue what I've been through. And I think you just need someone who's been there, who can really understand, the journey and what you're going through. I just found counselling to be a lot of, you were just talking, and no one was really, it was kind of like sometimes I'd go in feeling not too bad, and I'd come out after talking about it feeling completely worse, but just sort of like, oh no, what do I do now? I've got no sort of tools, and I don't feel equipped. I just feel like I've talked for an hour and then just been sort of like let back out into the world in a worse state than I started, really.
I hear that's definitely something I had happen, and it was just felt like almost like going around in circles. I dreaded it. So it's amazing that you got different support, but it sounds like that experience wasn't the best, and coaching's been a little bit different. Would you say that?
Absolutely. I mean, when I was sort of going through the loss of aunt and husband, I used to sort of seek out people who'd been in similar situations. And I think that just really helped. Like you say, it's that lived experience. Speaking to someone who's been through it and can give you a little bit of hope is so helpful. But, someone who can share their sort of knowledge and wisdom as well. And I think coaching is, it's just more sort of practical way of giving you tools and equipping you, isn't it, for moving forward?
I've always been like someone who needs structure. Structured.
No.
Coaching has helped me to feel that sense of, okay, like this, I can do this, and I'm not going to feel like this forever, and just work with it rather than feeling like I'm stuck. That's the case for me with coaching.
And I really loved all the sort of the science behind it that we went through. So, your nervous system, things like that, that's something that you didn't really get told about, isn't it? You just think, am I normal? Is this a normal way to be feeling? Not that there is a normal, but once you realise that, you don't feel safe because your nervous system's completely dysregulated, it really does help to understand that you're normal.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I know you've got your cards business as well, which I think is amazing. So even before coming to the certification, you've been on your own journey, haven't you? And How did you experience different shifts in your grief that's kind of brought you to where you are now?
I think it's just getting through it all. I think it's, when I read somewhere that sort of like, not that there is a final stage of healing per se, but one of the stages of healing is finding meaning. It's horrible to think that you go through all of this just for absolutely nothing. And being able to be in a position where you feel capable to help others and feel that sort of calling to do that, it sort of brings it all back together for you. And I think it's a nice feeling, even if it is bittersweet.
I think David Kessler talks about finding meaning, doesn't he? And actually listening to a podcast this morning that was talking about life as like a road trip, and this sense that there are detours on life and we think we're going to be on the highway, but that just isn't the case. Yeah. And it was talking about how what we need in order to get from the detour to wherever, whatever the future is, which in grief is so hard to even imagine, some type of intention. And I found that meaning and purpose has been a really big part of doing that for me. And I think a lot of people who are doing the certification have been drawn to this for that very reason. It sounds like you.
Definitely.
So were there moments that became like turning points for you in your grief, would you say? Like, when did you start your card business? When did you decide you wanted to become a coach?
I think for me, it was sort of feeling settled again in life. And yeah, sometimes you don't really realise how traumatic what you've been through is until you're sort of on the other side of it, I think, as well. Because quite similar to you, I just sort of threw myself back into work and becoming a mum and things like that. And I think I realised as well that, I did push a lot of it down. And it was weirdly only when we were doing the certification that I realised how much I hadn't actually dealt with. But yeah, I think once I got to a position where, life was settled again and I felt truly happy again, that was when it sort of came to me that, I can't just keep working in a corporate job doing something that doesn't mean something to me. And it wasn't, at that time that I thought, right, I'm going to try and do something. So me and Warren had the cards idea, and, it's both of us running the business, but he's a designer. So I feel like, even though we're doing it together, it's his unique skill set, which is the heart of it, really, even though it's my story too. So the grief coaching thing, it's like that's something that I feel is a bit more aligned with me in terms of, the kind of work that I would like to do.
And am I right in saying you quit your job during the certification?
Yeah, it was in January this year. Yeah.
That's amazing. But you just, what kind of led you to doing that and being like, you know what, I'm just going to go all in on my coaching business?
You know what it was? It was one email, and it was from one of our card customers. And I was toying with the idea anyway, because Warren quit his job to do it full time. But I got this email from this lady, and she was a widow, and she'd received, "Oh, sorry, lost your soulmate" card. And she messaged and said that she'd received the card from someone, and she was just like, "Thank you so much for that. Thank you for getting it so right. It was exactly what I needed." And it just made me think, you know what, this is what I should be doing. This is the kind of work that I should be doing.
That's so special.
I know. I don't think she knows what an impact that email had.
When you think about, so you said there, when you were doing the certification, you almost didn't realize there were things you hadn't moved through. I feel like that's such a common block for people, that they think they need to be healed in order to be a coach. What's your that, and what's your journey been?
I think training to become a coach has been one of the most healing things that I've done, because we can sort of get back on with life, can't we, as much as we can, but learning all that stuff about myself. And for me, I think I've said to you before, it's a sort of continuing bonds part of it that really touched me. Learning that you can carry the person forward with you, and keep the bond with them. You don't have to, you can keep them in your life, and that can actually be a really lovely thing. And that was something I learned. And also, with losing someone to suicide, like those emotions like anger, guilt, shame, sort of, they fade, but I hadn't really ever dealt with them or accepted that they were okay. And that was a huge part for me.
It's amazing being on that personal journey. And for anybody listening who doesn't know about the certification, you're working with a peer coach for every week for 6 months, and you and Hannah have been such an amazing partnership. Yeah. It's as much a personal journey, isn't it, as well as a professional journey?
Hugely personal. And I think a lot of us didn't have grief coaches. We might have all had counselling and tried a lot of different things. And when I was around, last time, I'd never even heard of a grief coach. I didn't know that was a thing. So if that would have been exactly what would have helped me at that time. So to get that, and to get it with someone as special as Hannah, was just incredible for my own healing.
I love that. I'm really glad that you both connected connected so well as well.
Yeah.
So you've kind of talked about this a little bit, but you said you saw a post about the certification on Instagram, and you'd been following me for a while, but what drew you to the holistic grief coach certification? Like, what was it about this program that spoke to you compared to others, or other coaching courses?
I think it was you, to be fair, was the main thing. Like, as I said, I'd followed you for a little while and really loved all your Instagram posts and everything. But yeah, I'd never really known about grief living in the body before, and I've never done anything like breath work or tapping or anything like that. So yeah, it was just really drawn to that whole new skill set. And it's a whole different approach, isn't it, than counselling or talking it through or trying to think your way out of it.
Absolutely. It's so different to, even I work with different coaches, and it's so different to the coaching I do because of the holistic element. So I'm really glad that kind of drew you in as it's just a different way to be with grief and actually work with it in like real time.
And it's stuff you can use, isn't it? Like, if I'm like, just getting ready for something, or I'm in the shower and feeling a bit anxious about something, like using some of those tools. That's exactly what they are, aren't they? The tools to help you sort of process stuff and cope with stuff, and they're just so powerful.
So I actually was going to ask you as my next question, was there a module or a tool that really resonated with you or created a big shift for you, or has been your favourite?
I do love all the breathwork stuff because just so simple, isn't it? And you can do it anywhere, and it's just a little 5-minute thing that can totally change your whole mindset. Like sort of breathing or lion's breath and stuff like that, I find really useful.
Yeah, I love that. Everybody loves the breath work.
Yeah. It's because it's just simple, isn't it? You can do it anywhere.
And your breath is like the door, isn't it? The doorway to like feeling that safety. So powerful. And nobody teaches us how to breathe.
No, it's crazy, isn't it?
Learning that again. How did the training impact you then holistically? So emotionally, somatically, spiritually, how do you feel like it's impacted you on those layers, all those levels?
So definitely emotion wise, I just understand my own emotions so much more now. And if I do feel a certain emotion, like anger or something like that, and then I think you said it, there's no such thing as a bad emotion. And I feel like that's such a good realization to have, because we can just beat ourselves up, can't we, for what we're feeling, and there's absolutely no need to.
We place so much shame on ourselves for feeling how we feel, and when we're in that state, it's really hard to see out of it. I call that like an inhibitory emotion, because it like then blocks actually what we really feel, which is maybe fear or guilt or something like this, but it gets all blurry, doesn't it, because we're not like allowing ourselves to feel it.
And I learned as well, so like when Aunt died, I was very angry for a long time, and it was something I really struggled with. But I also actually quite used it as it can be quite a useful emotion, anger, can't it, sometimes, especially like, if you're healing and trying to push forward. But then, yeah, it made me realise that I was using that as a distraction from feeling sad, which was a big realisation, because I was scared of getting stuck in being sad. So I chose to feel angry instead. But yeah, it all sort of came together and made sense.
Yeah, I resonate with that massively. So long I was like just pushing through a lot of like really, really over the top exercise, but I know, and I knew it when I was in it, not as clearly as I do now, that it was giving me some level of like protection, release and outlet. I feel like I was like almost like punishing myself for feeling all of the feels, and okay, like how do I let that be an okay emotion and like work with it rather than work against it, which has been massive personally. Did you explore anger in the certification with your peer coach? Is that something that came up?
For both of us, it was something that came up quite a lot, actually. And then when we did some of the tools around sort of like iceberg theories and things like that, like I'd start with the anger, and then when we went deeper, I'd realise it was actually sadness underneath. And that was so interesting. But then being able to sort of explore that sadness in a safe space with Hannah, it was good. And I didn't get stuck there, which was a big realisation.
Really powerful, and powerful to experience it rather than just talk about it.
Definitely. And just sort of sit with it and let it be. Just be with it for a little bit. It's something that I've never actually really done. That was massive.
I love that. Sounds like it's been, obviously I don't know exactly what goes into every session with your peer, because I only get to see a few of them, but it sounds like you had some really great experiences practicing the tools.
We went on a bit of a sort of journey together as well. So we ended on more sort of continuing bonds and sort of visualizations where I was having a conversation with them and stuff. And like, it was just so nice. Yeah, it was so special.
Really, really special. Thank you. So you've kind of spoken a bit to this, but I'm really curious to know about like what parts of yourself do you feel like you've maybe reconnected to or found or reclaimed through the journey?
It's definitely emotions are such a big one, because sometimes you don't even realise that you haven't felt the emotions properly or you haven't explored them. Because you don't know what you don't know, really, do you? And I just feel, I don't know, just feel so much softer with it all now.
That's a really nice way to describe it.
And then there was a lot of sort of guilt, and I think quite a few of us had this about sort of, is it okay to be doing this work? Do you know what I mean? Like trying to make a career out of something so sad and tragic. But I think that was another big realization that, you know, it's all from a good place, and we just want to help others.
I've navigated that same type of block, and when I started coaching, I was like, okay, I want it to be accessible. It was always about making grief support more accessible. And that's why I created the certification, to help more coaches be available for clients, people who need support. So it's been a big part of my mission. But in that, there's been a lot of guilt where I've been like, oh, like, is this bad or wrong? And it's been such a journey to like really become really connected to my why. And I don't know you, but I always just think about like young me and this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would have definitely needed a coach. It was sort of exactly what I was seeking out, but I didn't know what I was looking for.
And hopefully it'll be more easy now for people to know what a grief coach is. Quick pause in today's episode. If you've ever felt the pull to turn your own grief into purpose, to support others with compassion and confidence, this is your invitation. The Holistic Grief Coach certification is enrolling now. It's a 6-month trauma-informed training that equips you with the tools to guide others through grief while also transforming your own journey. To find out more and join the next cohort, simply DM me the word certification at goodgrief_UK on Instagram. Now, let's get back in and enjoy today's conversation. What would you say to somebody who you said earlier, you know, a lot of things came up personally throughout the program that you navigated for the first time, some of it, and you also just named there was some guilt around, you know, should I be doing this work? What would you say to somebody who wanted to do the certification, who had those same worries or fears?
And I think it's sort of a societal thing, isn't it? So the sort of, especially in this country, like a stiff upper lip thing about grief, and, you know, don't talk about it, just get on with your life, and sort of don't upset anybody else with talking about it. And I think that's so ingrained in our culture and in our minds that I think you just need to learn to see past that. And again, it's just keeping the why in mind, isn't it? You know your intentions are good, and you know exactly why you're doing it.
Exactly.
But yeah, just sort of, you don't want to upset anyone or you know, be too emotional and umbrage about it all. But that's wrong, because people do need it.
And also, I think it relates back to what you were saying earlier about, you know, the job you had. And I've always been like this since I was young. Like, I wouldn't be able to just have any part-time job. I'd want to do a part-time job that meant something to me, or that I found to be important or connected to my passion. Like, I've always been like this. And when I became a coach, like, there are friends of mine who coach on all sorts of things, but some of the things they coach on, like, I could never coach on because I don't care enough. And so there's this, I say it's like a sole purpose in me to do this work. You're like, it's the same for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, as I said, when I saw your Instagram post about it, I really felt that as well. Like that's what I need to be doing.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Somebody. So should we talk about what you're doing now and you as a coach? Because we've kind of been working on a bit of a mini mind, haven't we? Like building out who you are as a coach, what you might be offering people. So what kind of clients do you support now? What do you feel like your sessions feel like as a coach?
And I think because sort of, you know, I've had multiple losses, it was really about what was the biggest journey for me. When did I need coaching the most? And that was how I've come up with, you know, what kind of clients I'd like to work with. And it's young widows and reclaiming your identity after loss. I think it's something that I struggled with so much. Like, I just didn't know who I was anymore. I think when you're in a relationship for that long, everything's, we went here, we like to do this, we like this music. And then to just be in a position where I was suddenly, especially because I just had a baby as well, I just did not have a clue who I was. And but you're trying to also find that purpose in life too.
Such important work, and you name that we, sense of who you are is so connected to your person, isn't it? And when you lose them, everything you knew about yourself and what you imagine for your future changes. Such powerful work. I'm really excited that you're stepping into that space and being that support for somebody, also somebody who really, really gets that personally.
Yeah, and then suicide loss as well is another focus, really, because it's so hard.
And there's not a support for suicide loss.
No. I think as well, if you've lost your partner to suicide and it's, you didn't know they were going through that, and the blame that you put up on yourself and the fear of being judged, and to come back from that's so tough.
Do you have a message for someone listening who might need this support?
I think it's just never let go of hope, really. That was the main thing I sought out when I was, when I'd lost Aunt. I was just seeking it out anywhere I could, scouring the internet for stories of people who'd lost their partners in that way, and seeing that you could be okay again and you could go on to live a meaningful life. So just that, really, just seek out hope, connect with people who understand, and also just don't beat yourself up about any feelings that you might have.
Sorry.
Just all of the feelings are normal. Don't try and push them down or anything like that. You've got to feel them. It's all part of the journey.
You said there, hope, and I know you mentioned that a bit earlier, and how working with a coach who's been where you've been creates that level of, okay, they get it and they're somewhere else now in their grief journey. They're not where I am, and how that then creates this level of being really truly seen. And also, okay, that's possible for me too. That's really powerful.
I learned a lot on the course about sort of how I got there as well. There's a lot of stuff that's like where I did that, if that makes sense. Like, looking back, I don't really know how I got from A to B kind of thing. But when you learn about it, you're like, oh, yeah, that's why. And
yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
I remember writing out chapters of my journey, and I'd give them like a title. So there'd be like a chapter when I was like the warrior, and like how I was coping was this warrior of like trying to be like the strong one. I remember doing it for like my whole grief journey, and it was so helpful to be, because like you said, you don't know how you coped or how you got from A to B. If somebody just asks, you have to almost like process and do the work. So I love that you kind of found that journey and found your just kind of what you've already journeyed through. That's a big part of what people with.
And I think because I've had multiple losses, when similar to you, I lost my dad really young. I was 20, and at that point I was exactly the same as you, just going out drinking, just pushing it down, just not really feeling any of it, and just focusing on uni and stuff like that. And I think because I knew that didn't do me any good in my later losses, I was like, no, I'm going to really feel all of this. I'm gonna sit and process it. I'm not going to be the strong one, because that's so unhealthy.
You and I have had quite similar journeys with losing a parent young as well, and so you really understand integral loss, don't you, from like your partner and a parent, and actually like navigating that really big milestones in your life, like university, and then when you're starting a family. It's such a huge journey you've been on, Rachel. I'm really glad that you're just here to help others in similar situations. I hear all the time with clients, when they've lost a parent and then they're trying to have a family, or they've just got married and it's meant to be like this new chapter, and it isn't. So it feels like really going to be that space for people in those moments of their life.
Definitely.
And do amazing.
Sort of working on my brand and everything at the moment, but really excited to get up and running with it all.
And you will. Amazing. I wanted to ask a little bit, just, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, but how do you think stepping into this work, doing this doing the certification, stepping into this work for widows and for other grievers has changed your life or your purpose?
It's just really made it really, really clear to me, definitely. Because I was sort of probably about 18 months ago, I knew I wanted to do something, but I just didn't know what. And then sometimes things just come together, don't they? And then it just becomes crystal clear all of a sudden. But yeah, it's definitely changed my purpose completely. Just sort of know Yeah, like you said, sole purpose, isn't it? That's exactly how it feels. And that you've got the sort of, and now I've got the tools to do it as well, to have the experience and the personality to be able to do that work. But now I feel fully equipped as well. It's very, very special.
I love that you've got your piece of the puzzle now that you can step into the work. Would you say, you've seen other people coach, you've seen other coaches on the certification. What would you say makes you unique, or your approach to holding space different to other coaches?
I think, everyone was just so amazing and everyone's so good at holding space. I think it's just people's unique personalities, isn't it? It's hard to say, really. I think, I know I'm a very good listener and I'm probably not the chattiest, loudest person ever, but I think that's really key to it.
Absolutely. I feel like that's, I'm not the most extroverted, and like you, there've been other people on the program who almost nearly didn't do the program because they felt they were too introverted. I feel like that comes with so many strengths.
Yeah, I do.
Like the deeper listening and the softer space holding, and actually being really, really with somebody, I feel like is only possible when you've got that deepened level of like empathy and attunement. And I think you're amazing at it.
My old job was sales, so I was on a sales team where everyone is pretty much extroverted, aren't they? Everyone's really loud. And I used to be so quiet in our sales meeting. I even got sort of like told off, well, not told off, but it mentioned to me a few times that I was quieter, not as extroverted. And it was like, I listen to people more, and that's what it's all about. That's, talking's easy, isn't it? But listening properly is difficult.
Absolutely. And that's when you can actually respond and not just react as well.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you wanted to share about what you're doing? At the end, I'll ask for your Instagram and things like that, but is there anything you wanted to share about what you're doing in terms of your offering as a coach?
Not just yet, to be honest. As I say, just sort of, I've got a bit of work to do on it, but I'm really looking forward to getting into all that. It's just been sort of summer holidays and I'm busy on the cards at the moment. But for me, I'm just sort of I really want to think hard about my brand and my offer. Sort of, I've got all the basics there now. It's just building it, and I'm just so excited to be doing that.
And there is no rush. I feel like with this, it's something that you're creating from a really authentic place, and so it'll take time to create and share it. And when you do, it will be right.
Exactly. Just so happy to have done it. Literally one of the best things I've ever done for myself.
Oh, that's so nice. It's been the most amazing journey for me as well. Like, and I've said it to you and I've said it to the group, but like, I can't tell you how grateful I am for the group. I had like the first cohort of the certification. You've all been such amazing people, not just coaches, but people. We've had a really, really special experience as a community. So I'm really grateful for you and for everyone who's been a part of that, because it's been amazing. It has.
It really has. It's such a special group of people, isn't it? And then I think someone said it on our last call it's all virtual, but to have that space and that connection virtually it's not easy to do. So well done. It was amazing.
Before we go into any quick fire questions, is there anything you wanted to share on the certification that I haven't asked you that you think is important for people to know?
I would just say, it's one of those things. It's a big commitment and it's a long time. It's one of those things sometimes where you might get in from work and be like, I'm tired. You've got a 2.5-hour call. But I came off every single call just feeling so inspired and so glad I was signed up to it. So, if anyone's sort of being put off by the commitment of it all, you really wouldn't be disappointed.
I love that. Pretty much everyone showed up every single week.
Yeah, I know.
Really, really good.
Yeah, they did.
So are you ready for some quick questions?
Go.
So the first one is, how would you describe grief in one word?
Oh, that's a tricky one. But I'd just call it chaos, basically. It's absolute chaos. Just it's all over the place.
Absolutely. And has there been a book or a practice or a podcast that changed you or helped you?
There was a book called by Nora McInerney, is that right? Called The Hot Young Widows Club. And it was I read it just after Anne died, and I was like, wow, I'm normal. All these feelings I'm feeling, and that she's really funny with it as well. And I laughed in that book so many times, just thinking, wow, she just relates to my situation so much and it all makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was such a good book.
I feel like I'm going to have to, I've got my library of books behind me, but I feel like I'm going to have to create a book list from what people
Yes.
share on
Yeah.
Facebook. Is there a quote or a phrase that's guided you recently? And I know you have your own one about disco balls, which you can share, because I think, is there a quote or a phrase that comes to mind with your grief?
And it was from a friend, actually, a close friend of mine, and she lost her son years ago. And she told me this quote. It's from Norman Cousins, and it was, "The tragedy of life isn't death. It's what dies inside us while we live." And just it gives me goosebumps. That quote. I think it's really special and resonates so much.
That's given me like full body light. Okay, thank you. And do you want to share your one on the disco balls? Because I feel like I'd never heard that before. I think it's really, really helpful one as well.
So it's a disco ball is hundreds of pieces of broken glass put back together to form a magical ball of light. You aren't broken, you're a disco ball. I kind of feel like we're all disco balls on our course, aren't we?
Yeah. Everyone's got different names for their businesses that have light metaphors in them as well. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Okay, and last one. What's giving you hope right now?
I think it's just the sort of, the reception I've had to everything, really. Things like that email that I told you about for the card business, seeing other people from the accreditation doing well, and it's just seeing people do well and people getting a good reception for sharing the stories and doing this work. That's given me a lot of hope.
Amazing. I love that. All right. So those are the quick fire questions and you did well. Where can people find you who, if they want to come and find out about your coaching or your cards, where can people find you? And I'll put the links below.
So my coaching business is Afterglow Grief Coaching. There's another light metaphor, but I really love sunsets and stuff. And I just think, this is still a glow left after loss, and it's learning to find that again and work with it. And the card business is Love Lost Disco Balls.
Amazing. All right. So is there anything else you want to share?
No. As I said, just for anyone who is considering this kind of work, just go for it. Soul just feels so full, heart just feels so full. People need it. People like us needed it. So, it's the best, most important work in the world, really.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been so lovely to just chat to you and just hear your story a little bit, and thank you for all your kind words about the certification too. I'm so glad you did it.
Me too.
I know we had our call beforehand, and I'm just so glad it's been a great journey for you, and I feel like you're going to go on to do so many amazing things. I really do.
I'm excited.
Amazing. All right then. Well, I will see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. Thanks so much, Kayleigh.
Bye. Thank you, Rachel.
Bye.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Holistic Grief Coach podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, please take a moment to subscribe, share this with a friend, or leave us a review. Every share and review helps this podcast reach more people who need it, and together we can shine more light into the grief space. And if you feel called to take this work deeper, or even train as a holistic grief coach, you can learn more by simply DMing me on Instagram @goodgrief_UK. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you soon.